Hello, and welcome back to Coin Lady channel. Attorney Jeremy Hogan makes a comment pointing out a significant issue that, to be honest, hasn't been discussed all that much up to this point, but could have major implications for the future of the entire crypto asset class. Also in terms of regulation. And I have a theory of why this, at least up until now, hasn't been a greater concern in the Ripple scenario. In fact, let's start the film off by getting right to that right away. Jeremy Hogan, an attorney, commented as follows. He tweeted something in crypto litigation, the key questions doctrine will be a crucial point of contention. It has only lately gained attention, thus in Ripple's case, Coinbase and Binance were the only places it was accessible. Yes. I've discussed a little bit about the major questions doctrine on the channel, but it's been a while, so I'd love to pick Attorney Hogan's brain a little more on why he says not available for Ripple. It must have been, at least, because I can't recall the last time I brought it up. And speaking of not being accessible to Ripple, I simply kind of wonder whether we ever reach the stage where the case is appealed. Don't you think that would be brought up at some point? And I'll discuss the main issues with doctrine right away in the video. But once I explain what it is, you're going to sit there scratching your head even more and possibly making audible signs, face-palming, and other inane gestures while rolling your eyes. Because what's happening with cryptocurrency at the moment perfectly fits into this idea of the doctrine of the major questions. Therefore, the SEC should not be acting in the manner that they now are. But before I continue, I should make it obvious that I have no experience in either the legal or financial fields. You should not buy or sell anything as a result of anything I say or write because I am not giving legal or financial advice. I basically enjoy creating YouTube videos about things relating to cryptocurrencies as a hobby and for fun. So what was lawyer Jeremy Hogan referring to? There was a podcast with Frank Shapiro, who writes for The Block, and what he was sharing was in response to what I'm about to share with you. Editor-at-large is visible here at The Block. He also spoke with J.W. Verrett. Now, J.W. Verrett and Gary Gensler used to collaborate closely on a variety of projects. Now, not in the sense that he wasn't a worker there. He served on an SEC advisory council. He thus had frequent conversations with Gensler. Additionally, he has been harshly critical of Gary Gensler's methods and approach. JW is also an associate professor of law at George Mason at the moment. There is a podcast about this, and Frank Shapiro posted a snippet of it. Frank Shapiro then wrote the following. The Scoop was joined by J.W. Verrett. This episode will discuss the significance of the major questions theory and how it may relate to the SEC's legal actions against Binance and Coinbase. Courts might eventually decide that regulating cryptocurrency is outside the agency's purview, albeit it might take years. I hope you like the program. So I actually took a moment to transcribe this pertinent part, and I think you'll see that the SEC doesn't really have a case to make with the way they're handling this if you take into account the major questions doctrine, which seems to be the right course of action right now. There is yet another explanation for why the SEC's obscene jurisdictional expansion will ultimately fail. I think it's most likely to happen that way. Here is a quotation that I myself directly transcribed from J.W. Verrett. He spoke these words. The notion. Oh, I'm truly sorry. Frank Shapiro therefore posed the initial query, quote, so, please explain the significance of the doctrine's key questions. J.W. Verrett is the man you see on the screen, and this is what he stated. According to J.W. Verrett, the idea behind it is that if Congress has not specifically granted you as an agency-specific authority to regulate something and you are seeking to do so, and if it involves a significant issue of national, economic, or political importance, you must first obtain consent from Congress. So let's pause there. Doesn't crypto in particular easily, undeniably, irrefutably fall within such a category? What's more, when was the last time a brand new asset class was established? I can't recall. Actually, I looked into that a while back. Simply said, I haven't given it much thought lately. So it's been like hundreds of years recently. I recall a memory. I'd need to Google it once more. It has been a scorching minute. It's been a hot minute, to put it mildly. As you can see, this asset class has been around for 14 years. It's a young asset class, but it's now valued over $1 trillion. A small asset class, then. Prior to a few years ago, it would have exploded to $3 trillion. It will probably be worth tens of trillions of dollars in the future. Evidently, it is being used all over the world. It's not simply a problem in the US. Therefore, even if the United States were to completely outlaw it there, which, don't get me wrong, isn't likely, it would still be a hypothetical situation. Even if they succeeded in doing that, the problem would persist. Thus, you would be discussing a significant economic impact. And even if the United States could or would do that, it would be of significant economic significance. Unfortunately, they can't. According to J.W. Barrett's citation of the main questions philosophy, if something is of that level of importance, national political or economic importance, and in this case it is obviously national economic importance, you must go to Congress, period. This is exactly it. He goes on to give a few instances when it has been used after that. A situation in which the FDA says, you know what? Because nicotine is a drug, we're going to regulate cigarettes. We have the power to control drug use. Thus, it functions. The Supreme Court responded, nope, they didn't mean drugs in that sense. Both smokes and nicotine were not what they meant. Therefore, you lack the jurisdiction to regulate smoking. Now consider this, everyone. Therefore, that is a real-world illustration of how the idea of the major questions was applied. And that is not even close to having the same economic significance as cryptocurrency. And it was still in effect there, but just for the FDA in regards to cigarettes. The FDA received a beating. Without a doubt, cryptocurrencies have higher economic significance. Are you serious? Because of this, if you look at this, it's just like it's another situation where, of course, you now have to wait for things to develop over time. But this is a genuine situation. JW continues after that, he says. They clarified once more that they didn't mean smokes. Therefore, you lack the jurisdiction to regulate smoking. All of what he says is eerily similar to the Howey test, which applies to digital assets that are totally decentralized blockchain-based. The Supreme Court of the United States, which is obviously far away, likely wouldn't hear a judge's opinion on the issue until at least Second Circuit or perhaps even SCOTUS, which would be a long time from now. But there is no doubt that it is one of the issues that hangs over these cases. And thus, once more, if the SEC versus Ripple case finding that there is no investment contract weren't enough, if that weren't enough, and if that weren't enough, XRP fails the Howey test. Even at this stage, you might believe that the major question doctrine would still be destroyed if you're talking about it. Now, I must admit that I'm not entirely sure why Attorney Hogan claimed that this isn't a situation for repossession. Even though it was written, it was still on the screen. And from what I understood, it might still exist, but on a higher plane. So perhaps I'm overlooking something. I am not the lawyer. So, The Wiz by Attorney Hogan. So as not to detract from what he said, I'm merely stating that, in the past, it was my understanding that Ripple could have been named in a case like this if it reached a higher court. If we reach that point, it could not be possible, for unknown reasons. In any event, he is saying that for other cryptocurrency-related cases like Coinbase or Binance, the answer is unquestionably yes. Visit the doctrine's key questions. And it has that much impact. This is why what the SEC is doing is so abhorrent. Again, this is something that I haven't spoken on the channel in a very long time, and it was so beautifully developed. The idea was created by J.W. Barrett, and Attorney Hogan here highlighted it. Yes, let's spend a few minutes talking about this and breaking it down a bit, I reasoned. I don't provide financial advice. Nothing I say or write should cause you to buy or sell anything. Please like and subscribe my channel. See you later, bye.